Good morning.
Hello.
Welcome back to Morgan Monday, everybody.
Everybody, including me and my bruised up knees.
Not good at all. How are you doing?
Better. I was able to get home last Monday, just much later in the day. It's literally just that my fucking my fucking knees are still like yellowed and bruised.
Oh. Not ideal.
It's normal. Where the fuck did... Hold on. Where'd that window go? Oh, I full screen Discord. That's the problem. So when I popped it out, it disappeared. Hey.
It has been a little bit. And I had to skim back over the logs to make sure I had a fresh idea of what we were up to. The main beats from last stream were that we looked over the crime scene again. Off the top of my head, I don't remember what we found of real note other than Morgan's knife, but that was at the end of the previous stream, so it's not... I mean, it's still noteworthy, because it was somewhere it shouldn't have been, but then we went to a host club, bought a champagne tower, that was awesome. Talked to one of the old guard of the Blue Bloods, which I think kind of shot some of our theories, some of Morgan's theories especially. Then we spoke with the Icaria Patriarch, learned a little bit more about what's going on with them, and spoke to Mireille again. I think the biggest thing that we... the biggest lore drop that we got last time was that, it turns out our client Sosuke is actually the, like, last surviving member of the, like, old blue blood, like, lineages that were wiped out by the Icaria, including Daisuke personally, like 20 years ago, I think? Maybe 30?
Sasuke revealed as a little lord.
That's all the stuff that's really relevant, but the thing that I guess is just kind of like... Maybe it'll get touched on, but if we're going straight to the courtroom, it might mostly be kind of just a cute little moment that it doesn't end up being important to anything. It's hard to say whether the, like, concern or the being drunk came first, but, Officer Reyes, who has been very hostile to Morgan the whole, like, every chapter so far, every episode, has, showed up to Morgan's apartment drunk and insisting that she needed to protect her, and then passed out in her bed.
Points at Reyes, I can fix her by making into an exploitation noun for Morgan.
Oh, I feel like it would be... I'm not sure if I feel more confident that would be really easy to fix her as long as you can make her stop being a cop. Or if it would be, like, Herculean to like, fix her.
Look, I think Morgan could do it if she just had a shot collar.
That is literally true. Morgan's got the grit to do it. I don't know exactly how much game we have left. It seems that we are... Let me see. State Building 448, I think we are back at the courtroom the next morning. For what at least now we expect to be the, like, conclusion of Sosuke's trial.
Yeah, if nothing else, we have been told we are not allowed for it to go past today.
Yeah. This is the longest we got our media blackout approved for.
They must have waved me down over 5 times. I've been in private banks with less active security than this.
Were they private banks that had recently had a shooting?
No.
Then the comparison seems flawed. Armed guards in the halls, drones outside the windows. Androids standing firm in the streets, triple spectrum scans at every entrance. They really rolled out the red carpet for you this time.
If they were this concerned, why didn't they just move the trial outside of the city?
The district attorney said as much, but the city council overrode them. The district attorney? You mean Miss Rockford? Miss Rockford's boss. Word of the attack yesterday is already trickling out. They can't afford to delay, or it'll look like they've been successfully intimidated.
There's such a thing as overcompensating.
I don't think we gotta look at him without, like, the eye patch before. They gave him a little beauty mark.
Oh, yeah.
Not on the stage of security theater. Were you able to look over the DNA analysis that Cyanus completed, Adonai? The report on the bindings? Yeah. Gave me a lot to think about on the ride over. You're looking much better.
You don't feel better. They gave me some sort of injection last night. I woke up in much more pain, but they still insisted on taking off all my bandages.
Some sort of injection? Sasuke consented to intravenous injection of a recovery accelerant at 9:33 p.m. last night. You consented without knowing what it was.
I nodded. Thought it would help me sleep. That interrogation room floor isn't exactly ideal for rest.
Spoiled brat. Come on. Do you think they have...
I'm telling you, Morgan would make Reyes sleep on a concrete floor.
True. I think Morgan would get her a dog bed.
Only once she's been good.
That's true, yeah. Do you think they have, like,
This sip is getting better by the minute.
For real?
I'm not just saying that because I've been playing Girl Frame lately.
Girl Frame?
It's a horny Mexplode tabletop game.
Oh, nice. Badass. Hardy cloth bindings found inside the room where Sasuke was held, stiff with dried blood, clearly cut by something sharp. Summary of forensic DNA analysis conducted by Cyanus falls below. Sweat matches Sasuke. Skin matches Sasuke. Blood matches Sasuke, but also Miller. Strange. I gotta look into. I gotta work out more, like, TTRPGing myself.
If you ever want, I'll like shoot it at you. If you just want some slop, I'm enjoying,
You're s-
that I'm enjoying.
yeah, you're sounding very hesitant.
I'm too used to having this come up in my normie Discord.
Uh,
Look, I'm still reeling from the time my friend out of the blue added me one day about the character I made for Blades in the Dark, or Beam Saber, the mech Blades in the Dark, where I sat around going like, I mean, I can like make a character inspired by my AC6 and Mexplo thing, and I'll just like not. Any horny will be subtextual. They don't know. They're my normie friends. And I got added with hold on, let me find the quote because it's an all-timer.
oh no.
At me. So, did you write Warhound, or do transbians and mecha just convergently evolve into that shape like crabs?
Holy shit.
He can say that. He's a grungler for many different groups of T-girls.
Okay, I see. This is the same guy who was confidently telling me he was fine with going to jail. What about you, Adonai? Were you able to get any rest? I slept like a rock. Eventually. Didn't even wake up when a certain unwelcome guest stumbled out the door in the early morning, thank God.
But it was an accelerant, huh? I thought there was something familiar about this discomfort. They gave it to us back in the military on occasion. You heal up faster, but it still takes the same toll overall. Oh, Jesus.
Ew.
Explains why I feel like all my bruises are fresh.
Why
Here, I feel like owning myself a tiny bit. Just to drive home this point. This is the art my good friend Mina made of my my character from that game. As you can see, I was being very subtle.
Oh, this really whips though.
It does. I love Mina's sheep's art. This is my freaking friend. Anyway.
You're good. Why did I wait until now to start giving Sasuke medical attention, though? Emma must have realized it was getting a bit silly, trying to accuse you of murdering 5 people when you looked like you'd been thrown through a windshield. Oh my god. He's so pathetic. Don't worry, Sasuke. You're still handsome, even without the rugged edge that your injuries provided.
Hearing that doesn't make me happy, you know.
Estrogen eyes.
I'm still pretty sure he's already estrogenized.
Yeah, for sure. Put a little swirling pink chemical in with the injection. I'm sure they've got that in 2086. Then why are you blushing? It's not like you're spotless. You still have a mark under your left eye.
No, I've had that since birth.
Oh.
Was told once that it's charming. Why'd you bring it up? Is it not charming? He's such a dog.
So needy. going onto my schedule and writing draw feminized Sosuke. Urgent.
This is another reason you know he's already estrogenized. He's very tender emotionally.
True.
Thank you for clarifying that for the court, Detective.
That was the same story he told me yesterday down in the lower wards. He and Reyes were the second on scene, so they focused on clearing the lower floors before meeting with Rogers. Good to have it on the record, so I can look it over. Go ahead and take a peeky at that. Said that Rogers said...
Honestly, this is probably another reason why the creator has so much confidence in having it be a very written game that doesn't repeat information directly too often. It's just the fact that everything gets added to testimony that you can glance back over. And even like Phoenix Wright, say an autopsy will get added, but you don't like have a record of everyone's like testimonies in the same way.
Yeah.
So it ends up repeating information a lot more to remind you. Anyway.
Plus, it helps have the, like, you have to properly be, like, thinking over and everything, because not every piece of evidence, including the testimonies, is actually going to be relevant again.
Mm-hmm.
So it gives you, like, you've got to really pick through and see what's noteworthy. Very useful. I guess it didn't actually summarize. Although it is kind of just as mentioned, Rogers had apprehended Sosuke. Rooms Room 2, but 1 was already... Oh, I think it was already unlocked, not like they had to unlock it. Was the clarifying information there?
As for the next item on the docket, calling the defendant to testify.
Oh, you handed this over to me, and I don't actually remember what I was trying to go for.
I think you were just going for Maximum Valley Girl.
Seems like it's gonna be a nothing burger.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Not entirely, Your Honor. My client waives his right to decline.
Does he now? Sosuke Ikaria. I am a head of personnel security at the Ikaria Financial Group. And the IFG, that's a family-run, small business, mom-and-pop operation, I take it. Family-run. Well, Mr. Ikaria, I feel like the court already has a strong understanding of the circumstances you found yourself in. How you were captured and tortured by these 4 known criminal associates, all of whom are now dead. How you were found standing over the body of Officer Chopin. I suppose all anyone can ask is... what do you have to say for yourself? I can only tell you what I remember. Even if that's mostly pain. How about after the pain? How did it end? I woke up to the feeling of my blood drying on my skin. Familiar sensation for a head of personnel security, I assume?
Objection.
I can answer. It was a novel experience. I pulled off my blindfold and felt like I'd stepped into the desert. White flaring in my eyes, heart thumping in my temple. But I realized there's a gun in my waistband. The indicator showed it was spent. I didn't know what to make of it. Does this gun look familiar to you, Mr. Ikaria?
It's such a cartoon's gun.
That's a drop in a looter shooter gun. Yes, that's the same gun. Like at the records show, the witness is admitted to wielding the same Mag US design used to kill 2 of the victims.
Is this okay?
I stumbled forward towards the door. And past it, the whole room seemed red. And after that, you don't remember? Anything else you'd like to say to the court, Mr. Icaria, before we finish? There is one more thing I recall. I remember holding my sword.
So he admits it.
You remember holding your sword?
Well, if that ain't good.
That's very interesting of you to say, Mr. Icaria. It was on the ground, and it's important to me, so I bent over and picked it up. Do you recall the next thing you did with that sword, Mr. Icaria? No. The next thing I know, I'm being transported and read my rights. I see. I see. Your Honor, do you feel we need to continue?
The questioning?
The trial.
Ouch! Ready to begin cross-examination at any time, Your Honor. If you insist. Round 1, fight! Surely we're past round 1 by now. The bindings. Yoru. And the Mag US. The fact that it takes out the dash so it looks like it just says Magus.
It probably is just colloquially called Magus.
Mm-hmm. But I don't think it's been...
It's like Deagle.
True. You were blindfolded.
Look in the room, blindfolded and in pain. And okay, no, this is stuff I already read, so.
Wanna bet? Sosuke couldn't have untied his way out of his bindings. Not when they were very clearly cut by something sharp.
Objecting to a statement from your own client now? What do you mean, Morgan?
These pieces of cloth were recovered from the room where you were held, Sosuke, and they've very clearly been cut. You didn't struggle your way out, you cut your way out.
Yes, now that you mention it, that's right. But if I cut myself out first... Your Honor, the people ask the defense do their testimony coaching before the trial begins from now on. As it stands, this has been a colossal waste of time.
Yeah, I mean, this detail probably isn't important, right? It's very important, Your Honor. If he used a blade to cut himself free from his bindings, that means Sosuke couldn't have gotten free until someone handed him a blade. Meaning that the people's theory of a daring escape mid-interrogation is...
He's doing just fine. Thank you for asking. None of us in the court here today seriously believe this man or his memory can be taken as the truth.
Then forget him and just look at the bindings. They're hard physical evidence and they had to have been cut.
By something sharp. What do we know that fits that description?
You think it was Yoru?
His captors kept him bound in that room most of the night, then cut him free from his bindings with the sword to bring him into the main room for questioning. Where he turned the tables on them before slaughtering them all.
Badass.
Well, Counselor, are we done here?
Could the katana have been used to cut those bindings? Looking at the actual bindings themselves... take a look at the bindings and see if, like, I mean, obviously I know they weren't cut with the sword, and I know I found the knife again, so I can bring that up at some point. Presumably now it would be fine. And then also, just thinking about it logically, I'm pretty sure trying to cut, like, bindings that are around your hands with something in your hands is going to be way complicated if the something in your hands is really long.
Yeah.
Anyway, all signs point to... Of course it wasn't the sword that cut those bindings.
What do you mean?
The problem lies with the DNA.
Oh yeah, also that.
Your Honor, if we could please draw the court's attention to the forensic analysis of the bindings. You'll notice.
Your client's blood, obviously.
I don't know how I completely forgot that she had killed Miller with the knife and then used the knife to cut the bindings. Or handed it to him, at least.
Partially because, like, the whole court case has been about everyone assuming that the sword was used.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that, like, nearly everyone's blood did end up on it in one way or another.
Because he had to do the epic sword drag.
She can't help being a little sicko. Yes, obviously. But upon closer inspection, you'll also see that blood from Miller was found as well. The poncho guy? Who was stabbed in the throat, as the court may recall.
By your client's sword, as is no doubt still fresh in the jury's memory.
Well, how can that be, Your Honor?
What do you mean?
Is it not sharp enough? What a piece of... How can Miller's blood have ended up on the bindings that kept my client from leaving the room in which he was held? Unless Miller was killed before my client was ever cut free? I love when we get her bad enough that she makes this face.
We love an ugly face positive. That's... God, his titties get so pronounced when he punches his hand.
Kind of a big deal. Isn't it? I thought so, at least. She's lying, that's not possible.
Not wrong, counselor.
You've got that wrong.
It's true that the katana has blood from Miller's stabbing on it. And I'll admit it's surprising to see his blood on your client's bindings.
Miller's autopsy shows he had no wounds beside the fatal puncture in his neck. So the bindings on my client had to have been intact at the time Miller died.
Those bindings didn't need to be cut before your client could kill him.
What?
If your client's wrists were left bound for questioning, he could have stolen the gun, killed Tanks and Creek, then picked up his sword, just as he stated in his testimony, and set to work.
You think my client was drugged and beaten before killing 4 men with his wrists bound?
Hardly impossible for a man with his... talents. And there's no other explanation for why he would have cut his bindings with a sword that, as you insist, must have already been used to kill Miller.
No other explanation. Not even if he used something else to break out of confinement. The baseball bats.
Needles.
Ah! Love that it makes a point of putting it in the first person. What if my client had simply used this to break out?
What was that?
Way overcooked from what I can tell. It's a murder weapon, Your Honor. The one recovered from the scene of the crime.
Knife. Yes, that's what I grasped when I first woke up. That's impossible.
What she said. There's nothing about a knife found seared to perfection in the Ark's data. Is it overcooked or seared to perfection? This knife was not found inside the building, Your Honor. I retrieved it from the alley immediately beside it.
Your android did?
Need her to submit video evidence of the entire afternoon to verify it, Doubting Thomas?
Doubting Thomas? You fucking nerd! Who the fuck makes that poll? Nobody goes deeper than Judas! What's wrong with you, Morgan?
What are you, Rockford? Some kind of evidence requesting Andy?
Some kind of John the Baptist? Not the android I'd have trouble taking at her word, counselor. What forensics have been performed on it?
There are no fingerprints remaining, and the DNA present in the blood is too damaged to be of use. But I have identified at least 2 different blood typings. AB negative and B negative, Your Honor.
Your Honor, the people are, of course, interested in the forensic analysis of any evidence that seems pertinent to the crime at hand. But this was retrieved from an alleyway dumpster.
A soot-filled drum near an alleyway dumpster.
From an alley in the lower wards. Without strong evidence linking it to the crime, I see no reason to entertain the idea that this is some kind of 4th murder weapon.
3rd murder weapon?
What?
The bat was post-mortem.
Point still stands.
Well, how about it, Morgie?
Morgie.
Any link between this totally not suspicious fire-broiled knife and our crime? Or should we just throw it back in the garbage? Again, it was a soot-filled drum by the garbage. Well, of course I have more to go on than mere proximity, Your Honor. I have proof right here that this knife was what Sosuke used to cut himself free. Cut on the left-hand finger. Could be worthwhile. I don't think that's quite relevant. Take a closer look at the... I feel like I did just straight up say Sasuke a minute ago instead of Sosuke.
He's got the Sasuke.
Yeah, slight laceration on left hand. Left hand also had broken bones, so it wouldn't be unimaginable that he would have... I don't remember if that was something they drew attention to in that context, but obviously it's of note. And I mean, I'm doing pretty fine chips-wise, so... We'll start there, and if I'm wrong, it won't kill us for trying again. Just take another look at that.
Your client's medical intake record.
A little late to still be drumming up sympathy, but if there are shirtless photos in the file, I suppose I have a duty.
Look at them titties.
There are.
What? I did not remove my shirt for...
If I may please direct the court's attention to one specific item. Slight laceration found on left hand.
You mean slight, like a paper cut?
More like a cutting board accident. Neither paints a very gallant picture.
But if he had a cut on his finger when he was first arrested...
Then it must have been sustained around the time of his escape. Like when he was using a knife to cut himself out of bindings while blindfolded. Oh yeah, he was blindfolded. That would also make it easier to cut yourself doing something like that. Yeah, that makes sense.
Even a master swordsman can nick himself on his blade every now and then. His katana
Was found with a lot of blood on it, yes. But none of his own. Adana is correct. Yoru was thoroughly tested and found to have blood residue matching Miller, Trey, and Officer Chopin. But not one drop of Sosuke's. Meanwhile, we have a knife right here, ready to be submitted into evidence and studied under every microscope the state can find. That just so happens to have Sosuke's exact blood type on the tip.
AB-? Blood type...
Doesn't match anyone in this case's full file except for Sosuke. What? I do blood type fortune telling. So I have a hobby. Shoot me. 2 shots right to the base of my skull.
Counselor Morgan. Perhaps you might grace us all with your formal request.
I call for this knife to be submitted into the record and forensically analyzed as quickly and thoroughly as possible. Because I believe it is the murder weapon that actually ended Miller's life. A knife to the neck.
Too. Would be much easier to pull off than using the very tip of a sword. I hypothesize.
Nice recovery. Perfect, Ukemi. Cool that the blood types are actually relevant in this episode instead of just being fortune/personality telling. For sure.
In other words, then... you're asking for the medical examiner to reevaluate whether this knife might be a better fit for the wound in Miller's neck?
Yeah. Did you just repeat what she said but slightly rephrased? A conversational tactic to surpass Metal Gear. It's worth repeating, Your Honor. Because the people understand the full weight of what this knife implies. It can overturn this entire case in an instant, depending on what Sato finds. Im is repeating what I said because she's stunned. I just flashed her my hand and it was 1 card away from a full house.
People have no objections, Your Honor. This trial requires that we fully examine this new piece of evidence.
Cool, so does someone have her number? Is there a group chat for everyone who works for the government, or...?
Dr. Sato is already on her way.
So there is a group chat, and I'm not in it.
She'll begin the examination as soon as she arrives.
Guess we just slack off until she's done, then.
It occurs to me, Your Honor, that we ought to thoroughly examine why this possibly critical piece of evidence was not found during the police's investigation.
The investigation and preservation of this crime scene was a joint effort between the police and Scientist Security.
And perhaps our next witness can shine a light on the source of this deficiency.
Miss Han? Maybe just Han.
Hold on. Hey, 80. Adelaide Hahn, site manager at Scientist Security. I served as supervisor for the scene of the crime in case 356319B.
Wow, can I call you lady?
Nah, babe, but what should I call you, though?
Well, you can keep calling me babe, or... You address the adjutant as Your Honor.
Awfully cold name for such a hot... Why the hell wasn't this knife found sooner? Well, I hate to throw a business partner under the bus, but... we at Scientist Security maintain the perimeters and may stand watch over the scenes, over secured scenes. It's the cops who do the searching and flagging. You'd have to ask them why they didn't go dumpster diving.
It was a trum.
The police aren't your business partners, though, are they? I don't understand the question, Your Highness. Sinus Security is a sale corporation owned by FIC Holdings, an offshore rebranding and effective pseudonym for Kim Acquisitions.
Oh.
AKA the heart of the criminal organization operating in the lower wards, what is commonly referred to as the Blue Blood Mafia. If you say so, sounds like it's above my pay grade. Permission to treat the witness as hostile?
Can I get popcorn first?
I need popcorn when the girlies are fighting. Do you know why the state cooperates with the Blue Bloods to this degree? Why you're allowed to run your businesses and manage your petty fiefdoms? Petty fiefdoms? How about this? It's a free country and we're loyal, capitalist, tax-paying entrepreneurs. You got your own explanation? Because you're insignificant.
Holy shit.
Neither you nor your organization are on trial here today. That's not a favor and it's not a show of respect. It's just reality. The state is slow to shift its priorities. You aren't the focus of this investigation. If you impede this trial's progress by dodging questions and playing stupid, you'll find the state shifts its attention to your neck very fast.
It's so awesome when Rockford gets mean. She can
love when the girls are mean.
Love it when girls are mean.
Love it when she looks down on me like I'm the most disgusting worm she's ever seen in her life.
For fucking real. The little glimpses of how she can be just as, like, nasty as Morgan can be
are enhanced by the fact that she hates it, and we know she hates it.
Yeah.
This episode is full of pouting. You got questions for me, then?
Full cast of excellent powders.
Why wasn't the alley searched? Because the police found all the murder weapons within minutes. No rational person walked in that bloodbath and thought, gee, I wonder if there's a knife buried under a pile of ash in the alley downstairs. Your witness, counselor.
My turn.
My turn.
If my hunch is right, it'll be critical that I gather as much information as possible about the scene of the crime, and the ways in which it changed after I left. When did Sinus Security first arrive on the premises, ma'am?
Midnight.
About 2 hours after my client was arrested, you sure?
Checked my messages and saw the time right on my phone when we got there.
You were there yourself?
Trouble with being a site supervisor. You gotta stay on site. A lot of naps in parked cars.
Let slip a few details about the building's setup when we first met. Time to get it all out on the record. Top to bottom. Do you know who owns the building that these crimes took place in?
I don't.
Do you know who installed the security features on location?
It was Sinus.
Must have gotten hired by someone.
Not my department.
But you recognized some of the handiwork?
Front door was Sinus. The individual vault room locks too.
That front door was locked when officers arrived. They had to shoot it open. Shouldn't your security systems recognize officers of the law?
Our doors use physical locks. A lot of folks in the lower wards don't trust a fob scanner that can be hacked.
Physical locks can be bypassed too.
Sure, but at least that takes time.
Might as well press on it. Is there any way to unlock that front door without its key?
I mean, you could use a spare, right?
Is there any way to lock that front door without its key?
Yeah, but the technique's real complicated. You walk out and let it shut behind you.
That door is designed to lock behind you automatically.
It's a selling point for a building designed to be secure.
It was a warm night, I'll bet.
Oh, damn. You asking me about the weather? Not exactly grade A smallpox. Relevance, Your Honor?
I was trying to be polite, but if you insist. Were the windows open in the building when you arrived?
A lot of windows. Not sure.
The crime scene and the room directly below it, were their windows open?
Yes, those windows were open when scientists arrived.
Strange, didn't it rain that night?
That drizzle was over before 9 p.m. And even if it had been a downpour, it's not a crime to risk getting your windowsills wet.
Alright, so the building wasn't completely sealed by the time you got there. Asking why it was soundproofed definitely feels like we're not really going to get any useful information for the case. If I don't get anything good from the alley that like rounds us out, then I can come back to it. But no point losing chips if I feel confident enough that it's what's going to happen. That knife was found in the alley only yesterday, even though the police should have searched there.
Yep, seems like not everyone did their job.
Did you do yours? Was the alley monitored around the clock?
It was.
Any disturbances to the scene in the alley?
No, none.
Could this knife have been planted there? Well, I'm already at blackjack, so I'm not going to press. But I am curious about where that dialogue would have gone.
Not hit on 21.
Thank you. That was a very enlightening conversation. But it raises just one question.
Dust stuck in my throat.
Oh no. Whoever could have gotten inside the building before Chopin and Rogers? Blackjack.
What are you talking about?
Picturing her throwing out that question like a one-liner and then doing like a double handguns and saying blackjack out loud.
God. Your Honor, perhaps Counselor Morgan might narrow down her absurd attention-grabbing claim first, so that the people can properly eviscerate it.
Yeah, what she said. Someone got into the building before Chopin and Rogers did. That's become obvious.
What are you talking about? The only way into that building was through the front door. Chopin had to shoot it down. Are you suggesting that he didn't even try turning the handle first?
I mean, the front door would have been locked if it was closed. No, the door was definitely locked when those two arrived. This witness has testified that the door is designed to lock itself automatically. So it's impossible for the door to have been left unlocked?
As you say, but in that case... If we know the front door was locked all night, and we know the master key was found on Creek's body on the 3rd floor, then where do I even... What the hell are you trying to say, anyway?
Just that they used a spare key.
Oh, a spare key. How convenient. But completely unfounded.
The witness just testified that a spare key is the only other way in.
But there's no proof that a spare key even exists.
Probably not, no.
Probably?
So how about I show the courtroom where it was hidden instead? Found an alley, burning before scene secured, knife underneath its soot. Dumpster does have sign of being moved. Dirty rain marks around it. Fire escape connects the crime scene to room below, but the ladder is missing. Sound system was playing. Dumpster?
Dumpster? What is your obsession with presenting evidence found in the garbage?
I'm going to ignore that comment, and besides, there wasn't a spare key in the dumpster, it must have been underneath it.
But is that true? Hey, don't look at me! I have no idea what he's talking about.
That dumpster has clearly been moved, as indicated by the markings left behind from dirty rain in the lower wards. To you?
Did that not go through?
No.
Oh, weird. We can all see those marks, Counselor, but it could have been moved at any point after the last time it rained down there.
The witness just testified that the last time it rained was 9 p.m. on the night of the murder.
So what? Your claim is that a spare key to the front door was left underneath the dumpster?
Not so dissimilar from leaving a spare key under a potted plant.
Or a setting stone, or a Biwa statue. This isn't anything like either of those examples. That dumpster's massive, and its wheels are long gone.
Correct. So if anyone had moved it after police had arrived, the cops definitely would have heard it. If it was moved after the rain stopped, and before Chopin and Rogers got there, that narrows it down to sometime between 9 and 10 p.m. And of course, someone would only bother to move a dumpster that heavy if they knew what they'd find underneath it. Someone like... Oh. I mean, if the rest of them were there... Creek had the main key. Didn't need a spare.
Also, technically speaking, tanks wouldn't have needed it because, like, they could have just been, hey, you idiots, me tanks, let me in.
Yeah. And I mean, we've probably ruled out Chopin's family having any connection to the Blue Bloods. Or at least we don't have sufficient evidence of it, so it does just make Han look the most suspicious. It had to be Han, of course.
Counselor.
As a known associate of the Blue Blood Mafia and an employee of the security company who installed the front door at the crime scene, she'd have known exactly where to find a spare key. That dumpster also happens to be incredibly heavy. But I don't believe this witness's mod documentation has been submitted to the court. Could you estimate for us your approximate lifting strength?
You lift with your back, not your arms, lady.
Pushing strength, then.
Me? I couldn't push over a flower. Fact is, you're just bullshitting. There's no proof for any of what you've said.
We could check for your fingerprints on the front door.
You'll find them because I used it plenty of times. It's my job.
We could check for your fingerprints on the dumpster.
That thing's filthy. You get nothing but partials from a bunch of unlisted and addicts, and whoever else was stumbling around in that alley.
Would we?
Dunno. But after you do, I might recall how I nearly puked when I saw the crime scene. And how I might have stepped out in that alley to catch my breath. Would you believe I rested my hands on the dumpster then? This line of questioning's unproductive, Your Honor. Counselor Morgan cannot substantiate her theory because the fact is, there's nothing strange about Hans Prince being on any centimeter of that building. Not when she spent nearly 2 full days patrolling it.
True. Fingerprints won't be enough. I need something more impactful. And I've got just the thing.
What?
Han was there that night. She was there before the police ever were, and she was there long before Sinus showed up at midnight. And I can prove it right now.
Ow.
Exactly.
What?
I'm going to prove how she got there before the police did.
That's why I didn't mean to.
What the hell was that? Atani, did you really have to do that again?
What is happening right now?
This is a simple whistle every time I press it. Every ad in the courtroom picks up a rather nasty frequency, as does any phone with the proper receiver app installed. Oh, I don't think we've quite seen this face yet. So, should the witness be excused so she can answer her phone, Your Honor?
Brought that shit to the courtroom? Where exactly was this whistle found?
At the scene of the crime, of course. Near where Creek's body lay. Police must have disregarded it as a keychain or toy. Didn't anyone ever teach them that when you find a button, you should press it?
The exact opposite of what you should do at a crime scene.
Yesterday, Dr. Sato testified that Creek was alive for several minutes after being shot. If he pressed this whistle even once in that time, the witness's phone would have started getting alerts. As I've demonstrated to the court just now. Anything to say for yourself, Miss Han? Did someone install the app on your phone as a prank?
Its reception has limited range.
The lower wards is a tight-knit, high-density community. How far could you have been?
Far. I wasn't in the area that night. Doesn't matter what range he was at, Your Honor. Defense claims that Han entered the building with some kind of spare key. Letting the front door lock behind her to block Chopin and Rogers. But those 2 officers did enter after they shot the lock. At which point, they didn't run into the witness.
Creek was shot at around 9:45 p.m. Considering the time it would have taken Han to arrive and retrieve the spare key, she would have only been a few steps ahead of Chopin and Rogers.
After coming so far with your brilliant spare key deduction, are you now just going to claim that she simply ran away?
No, at that point she would have had to hide. Yeah, I mean, the vault. Since they didn't see her logically, we must conclude that she hid in one of the rooms on that floor.
It is logical, but it is also entirely conjecture.
Not this time.
Not this time.
Detective London's testimony established the possibility. Remember what the good Detective London testified earlier? Rogers had already apprehended the suspect, so we focused on securing the area. Sunshine and I cleared the first floor. All the rooms were empty, but one was unlocked. Can you teach me how to speak brackets out loud later?
Gotta change your tone of voice.
Two police detectives have sworn that one vault on the first floor was found unlocked. Unlocked perhaps by a spare master key. Is that some kind of big deal?
Your Honor, what Counselor Morgan is proposing, god damn it, would put the witness behind Officer Chopin and Rogers as they proceeded upstairs.
Not a bad place to be. If you want to do some backstabbing.
You gotta be shitting me. That's some creative geometry you're employing, Counselor. Imagining the witness is somehow getting positioned behind Tariq Chopin, and somehow remaining invisible to the eyes of Officer Rogers.
Ugh, that's...
Non-Euclidean crime scene recreation. Very novel.
Her insult sounded really smart, so I'm inclined to agree. I thought I had something, but when I tried to put the cards on the table... How can Han have gotten behind Chopin on the third floor? Was Rogers distracted at the window, maybe, or... Wrong question. I'm getting ahead of myself, trying to work backwards at this point. I shouldn't ask what Han could have done to get in a position where she was able to kill Chopin. I should first ask what Han would have done to serve her own interests. Your Honor, there's some testimony I'd like the court to hear once more. If you could access the stenography protocol. The what protocol? Was I supposed to be taking minutes for this meeting? I can recall any testimony you want to review, don't I? If Han won't self-incriminate, then the only testimony that could give me a clue as to her actions would be... I mean, Rogers' makes the most sense. Recite Rogers' testimony from yesterday. Start from after they entered the building.
What are you fishing for?
We heard a loud slam. Chopin gets all deadly serious and insists I stay, and he goes ahead. That's it. The sound Rogers heard from the alley, the one that made Chopin want to form a pincer. That must have been when Han... Move to the dumpster makes the most sense, I guess, if she was right ahead of him. When Han moved to the dumpster in order to get the spare key.
After the first officers on the scene had already destroyed the lock?
I slightly missed the, timing. Well, no, that would be silly of her.
Yeah, she certainly had the egg on her face. Reminds me of someone else I know.
Can't imagine who. Allow me to rephrase. The sound Rogers heard from the alley, the one that made Chopin want to form a pincer, that must have been when Han... I feel like the... Yeah, of course, she wouldn't have left the building yet. Of course, that was the sound of her tossing the knife into the trash. Drum.
Did she tie it to a set of cymbals first?
I'm fucked.
Dropping a knife into a trash can could hardly draw the attention of someone standing indoors.
It could be loud. They're gonna kill me for my meat. Right, of course, allow me to rephrase. The sound the officers heard was that of someone fleeing the scene. Out the window, down the fire escape, and onto the dumpster. It's a bit of a job. Even a dainty suspect would make quite the racket using the dumpster lid to break their fall.
Your Honor, if we have to entertain this sort of conjecture, might we at least ask for proof that it ends somewhere impactful?
I hear ya. Counselor Morgan, take this one seriously. You're telling me that? What exactly are you accusing this witness of?
You prepared to accuse Han of having murdered Tariq Chopin?
I do kind of think she didn't do it. Like, if she had left the the main thing that I think is relevant right here, if she left the building and ran away, I don't think she would have gotten back in without passing. Like, even if Chopin went upstairs first, there's no ladder to get back up to a window. And she wouldn't have gotten back in the front door without running into Rogers. Hold on one moment. What is going on here? Very silly, okay. We'll stay. If my theory's right, then it was the sound of Han fleeing the scene that caused the cops to split up. In other words, at the time she left, Chopin was still alive. No, she's been uncooperative and has lied on this witness stand, but she didn't kill anyone. Woof, that was anticlimactic. I mean, perjury? Who even cares?
Perhaps now, Your Honor, the court can get back on track to bring this witness's testimony to a close. And considering the fact that she may very well have perjured herself, I think it might be a better use of the court's time if we cleared the room for the remainder of this witness's testimony.
No objections, Your Honor. Okie dokie. Bailiffs, clear the gallery and remove the defendant to a holding room. They're forcing us out? What the hell? Hey, tag along, would you? With Sasuke? Can't let someone with a concussion fall asleep, right?
I am certainly not still concussed at this point.
See, he's delirious. Trust me. Very well, Adonai. Good luck. Let me check this terms real quick. Cell corporation, corp structure that its employees have no knowledge of its parent orgs. Informal rather than legal label. Operates without any clear or explicit knowledge of who its parent or sibling companies may be. Comes from 19th and 20th century covert cell systems employed by terrorist or paramilitary organizations. No technical definition of what constitutes a cell corporation. Experience of employees operating with it vary greatly. Commonly reported that individuals expected to complete their work without full information about how their job slots into greater corporate structure. While many consider the comparison inappropriate or even libelous, there is nothing illegal about the organizational structure, and some consider it a prudent measure to reduce the risk of trade secrets leaking to competitors. Users also frequently searched for, "What is my job?" Strange. Intriguing.
Base empties out faster than I thought.
No gallery, no jury live feed, no bells and whistles. You just give your testimony to the defense, the people, and moi. Then when you're done, I get to watch them argue over whether or not I should add it to the record.
Oh, you think I've got something contentious to say? Sorry, but it's just going to be more of the cold shoulder.
What I think is that you're scared.
The hell of what? Who? You?
An audience.
What, the pigs? You think I give a shit what any of them thinks, says, does?
Even if any one of them might link what you say back to the old guard. What's an old guard?
Not much. What's an old guard with you? The ruling factions among the Blue Bloods, who use young bloods like this witness as their cannon fodder.
Where do you learn all that? You binge a late dine special? Knowing Emma, she just learned all this from...
Matter of fact, I did. Old guard knows where my loyalties lie. I'm no snitch.
So now there's someone to snitch on?
I don't help state prosecutors, and I definitely don't help Ikarian lawyers.
The court's already emptied out. We can sit here in silence if you like. 15 minutes of nothing, and then you walk out. But when you do, someone's gonna make assumptions about what went on in here.
Telling me I'm screwed if I do, screwed if I don't ain't exactly got me feeling.
Sosuke didn't kill Creek. Maybe you don't care if an Ikarian dog goes down for a crime he didn't commit. But how do you feel about the person who did put that hole in Creek's chest, toasting to the news of the verdict?
She's so awesome.
She is. I have my suspicions, but I'm definitely curious what, like, Morgan's getting at.
Screw this. 9:47 p.m., night of the murders. I got an alarm on my phone. Knew it was Creek because the whistles all have specific frequencies. You gotta set him into your device if you want to listen for him. Creek had nerves like ice. Strong bluffer. Wouldn't press that button unless he absolutely had to. I ran. Was fastest that way, on foot. Usually is in the lower wards. I knew what the spare key was. Helped set up the whole damn place. Doors, keys, soundproofing. Stepped inside and had just gotten my phone light out when these two idiot cops came up. Red and blues, but no siren. Trying to be some kind of movie shit. I thought they were gonna shoot me. Then I heard Chopin getting ready to break the lock, and I knew they were gonna shoot me. Used the spare key on the nearest vault, dipped inside, and prayed they would just head straight upstairs. Lucky for me, they did.
You followed after them?
At a distance, but yeah. Saw their boots on stairs, their shoulders around corners. They split on the second floor. One on upstairs, who was quiet except for that squeak on the fourth step. Creek used to joke that was a valuable security feature.
They separated on the second floor without any prompting?
Another one was stomping around on the second floor, so I was able to keep my distance. Always knew exactly where that one was. And one shouted down. He shouted, saying that everyone was dead. That must have been Chopin, just before Sosuke snuck up on him. I liked Creek. His boys were alright too. I did not want to join them in Red Hood's company. So I didn't risk sticking around a second longer. I opened that window on the second floor and jumped to the ground. I was willing to hurt my knees, fall on my ass if I had to. I ended up smacking a dumpster instead. The guy on the second floor shouted after me, "They're in the alley." I heard windows slide open above me, footsteps on the fire escape. But my knees had stopped shaking and the fog was with me. They never saw me. You're saying you never even set foot on the third floor? Not until I came back later as a scientist rep, nah.
Where's the spare key now?
Bottom of the bay, at the moment. Hell of a throwing arm, as you can see. I ain't gonna help you go snorkel around for it if that's what you're asking. Well then, the people thank you for your testimony. You cleared up a number of oddities surrounding this case. Though none of the answers you provided have changed the fundamental facts of what the defendant is accused of.
Not quite.
She was in and out, counselor. Didn't even set foot upstairs.
I know. Not until she came back to secure the scene, right?
Out with it, counselor. There's no need for theatrics without the jury or gallery here.
I'm still here.
They went for drama.
I do appreciate the witness being so forthcoming about her first visit to the scene. Now I just need her to explain why she started covering up evidence when she returned.
What are you talking about?
Keep reading it as re-dink. The scrap of paper is the most definitive, for sure. That's not what I meant to do. But it could potentially also be the knife. I think the paper is more tangible, but I'm not going to go all in, so that if I'm wrong. But why go to such effort to hide one small scrap of paper?
What is that? More trash? Seriously? Exactly what it is. Trash. Garbage. Some idiot knocked over a trash can on the second floor. It's a big building. This stuff happens.
Still don't want to answer. That's okay, I will. You covered up that scrap of paper because it implicates you as an accomplice. And didn't see that coming.
Because it's nonsensical, Your Honor. Counselor, you just got done explaining how Han arrived after the pod was killed and left before Chopin died.
Not an accomplice to murder. Just the mafia equivalent of leaking government secrets. Even though the papers were almost entirely illegible. It only took 4 characters for the P-492 plan to blow up in court yesterday. Years of blue blood planning all down the drain because Creek was reading something he shouldn't have when he died. But if he shouldn't have had it in the first place, one has to wonder where he might have gotten it.
Because of that one goddamn watermark. Identical? Oh, right.
Identical to the one on your own business card.
Zionist security? You leaked the red ink?
It doesn't help that occasionally I mute for a second and then I click through and it's a Morgan line before I'm ready to unmute.
Creek never asked nobody for nothing. Dumbass was a giver. Gave money, food, blood, more than any of us. Enough that the weaker ones wouldn't have to get stuck. A guy like that came to a two-faced con hostess like me and asked for help.
That red ink is radioactive. Anyone caught with it. Why would he ask you for it?
Old guard knew Creek was charismatic, brave, smart. Everything they feared in a young blood. They also knew Creek made them too much money for them to just off. So the old guard decided to wear them down instead. More jobs than any other crew, more responsibilities. Less downtime, less sleep. Keep them too tired to have time to rebel, then wait for them to screw up. You can make an example of them when they do. Managers would do the same thing when a host got too full of themselves. Started thinking they were the ones bringing in the money, they were the ones who should keep it. Put them on the grind. Grind them into dust. One old bastard had them trying to grab that Icaria kid or whatever. The same time another expected to do some kind of arms handoff to a big shot. At least that was the rumor. Look, point is, Creek knew that they had a target on their back already, so they wanted some kind of deterrent. They could have dropped that red ink into any inbox in town like a tactical nuke if they had to. But maybe that's why they fired their missiles first.
You think the old guard killed Creek?
I don't think it was that pretty boy Hound nursing on those broken bones. Did he off the Chopin guy, though? I mean, I'd kill a stuck-up spoiled prick like that for no motive. No motive. So... Did that answer your questions, Counselor?
I don't think you're supposed to say that, but... I guess there's no gallery or anything. They can just strike it from the record. Not the most burning one. When did this scrap of paper arrive on the second floor?
Wasn't there when I ran out that window. It was dark and you were panicked. How could you even noticed? Paper's white.
If you had seen it, would you have taken it?
You kidding? Yeah, of course I would have taken it. Would have eaten that damn paper to make sure.
Why didn't you simply eat the damn paper later when you did see it?
Removing an item from an ARC-scanned building would set off any number of red flags. And the first thing that would happen is they'd wind the clock back to see what it was. That's what I did. Look back to see how the hell I missed it, but the damn thing was in every pick the ARCs had right from the beginning. Knocking over trash to hide it was the best I could do. Low reward survival tactics. Hide in numbers.
If this scrap wasn't on the second floor when you left, but it was on the arcs from the start, that means Reyes' body cam saw it by the second floor windowsill, the one that connected to the fire escape.
Your Honor, I believe we're done with this witness, even though all we've managed to establish is that
someone went from the third floor to the second floor without taking the stairwell. Someone circled around. You got all that from one paper? Am I stupid?
just because those papers originated on the third floor? That scrap was found by the windowsill. Someone could have taken the fire escape.
Exactly.
Could've. Someone could've. But obviously they didn't, because then they would have run right into...
Dr. Sato! She has some evidence or DNA or whatever. Maybe even an updated autopsy report if you even care. Should we let her in?
Your Honor, you're the one overseeing the trial, so...
So I can cry if I want to. Open her up. And kick the flirt out.
Hey, Miss Morgan. That Icarian dog didn't kill Kirik's pawn.
No, he didn't.
You gonna find out who did? Not your job, huh? Guess I deserve that. Finding Creek's killer is not technically my job either, Han. But if they're brought before me, I can promise I won't hold anything back. Appreciate the sentiment. I'm not gonna hold my breath. And I won't tell any of the other young bloods to hold theirs.
Phew. Lots of news to break. I'll leave the interpretation of the good and the bad to you two. That's cool, just imply I'm the ugly, it's fine. Counselor Morgan's hypothesis stands. This knife matches Miller's entry wound. Well, how about that? And it matches the wound better than the katana. Considering what we discussed yesterday, I'd be ready to say this is definitely the murder weapon used to stab Miller. Yay. Yep, just that little bit of update.
What?
But I've had no more luck with DNA testing than Sarah did. You weren't able to get anything? Nothing in the range of admissibility. However, like Sarah, I was also able to perform blood type analysis on the blade. And while I also found AB- and B- samples on it, I found one more blood type as well, A positive.
3 people cut with 1 knife? This can't be hygienic.
As long as you don't stick it in your mouth, you should be fine. Uh-oh. A positive blood? Who was there that night that had A positive blood?
Don't you put it in your mouth.
Just out of curiosity. I don't know why I even clicked 80. That's weird.
My god, Melissa Barrows!
I'm mostly just curious who.
My god, Reinhardt Boss Diamani!
I don't know what it's like. Maybe it's because I'm clicking to scroll? It keeps jumping back up to the top. I didn't actually process London's. That's who we knew about.
My god, Mirie Ikaria. And they'd already said all the other gang members don't have the blood type.
Mm-hmm. A lot of AB negative as well.
In this setting, who can't be negative?
It's true. Tanks, Trey, Sosuke, we already know. I'll click Sarah. Okay. Your Honor, these findings bring a rather alarming fact to light. Go ahead and... If Dr. Sato believes that Miller was most likely stabbed by this knife and not the katana, that means that this knife was also the source of Miller's blood on Sosuke's bindings. So either my client killed 4 men while cycling between a gun, a sword, a bat, and now a knife with his wrists tied together, all before ever stopping to cut his bindings, or he was still in captivity when the Blue Bloods were killed. But wait, that almost sounds like an alibi for 4 of the 5 murders. Oh.
It's not an alibi, Your Honor.
Merely an increasingly strong shadow of a doubt.
Jury can decide that for themselves. The facts surrounding Tariq Chopin's death still stand. Sosuke Ikaria was the only living individual in the room that Chopin was killed in. Sosuke Ikaria is the only person with his fingerprints on the katana. Something he corroborated with his very own testimony just a short while ago.
I really like Morgan making her sassy face this whole time.
Her sassy, hold on, let me inflate my tits face. Who would? And the defense's theorized fleeing suspect has already been revealed as incapable of committing any of these crimes.
Yes. But unfortunately for the people's case against my client, there is evidence that completely overturns our understanding of how Chopin died. I mean, the knife is the most tangible thing, I think. Nope, my mistake. Hello?
What?
Am I losing it?
What?
Oh.
The knife that Dr. Sato just confirmed was used on Miller?
Very likely used to kill Miller, yes. But definitely used to kill Chopin.
What? What are you going on about?
Blood typing. Chopin is the only victim with A-positive blood. Even my client, Sosuke, has AB-negative blood. Yet Dr. Sato just told us that A-positive blood was found on this knife.
That blood could have come from...
Nowhere but the single fatal wound identified on his autopsy.
Chopin's blood was all over the scene. The knife could have fallen into it at any point.
Check. Not at any point, no. This knife was removed from the crime scene and never seen by the ARCs. One moment. That means it had been moved into the alley before Detective Reyes arrived on the 3rd floor.
But Chopin was impaled by the sword. We've all seen it.
Yes, but not fatally.
How could that stab wound not be fatal?
Because it was post-mortem. This might not become relevant, but I also thought, like, some of the body positioning was, like, from Rogers' testimony, and wasn't actually how the scene looked when Reyes arrived. Although that might have mostly just been Sosuke himself. Might not have extended to Chopin or the katana.
You're basing this on the blood?
It usually closely follows a stabbing, yeah. It's the amount of blood, Your Honor. An impalement doesn't leave much blood at the scene because the weapon acts as a stopper. I assumed the amount of blood at the scene was the result of the sword being jostled afterwards because the wound had been aggravated. But this knife turns that idea on its head. Yes, Chopin was stabbed in the heart from behind, but it was most likely with this knife. He collapsed on the floor dead, then the knife was removed, and his corpse was impaled with the sword in the same wound, leaving a mark on the floor. The sword was only then moved around, increasing the wound size and masking the initial knife's entry wound.
While utterly soaking the floor in blood. It's a possibility.
If I may, Your Honor, this may be just a possibility, but it's the possibility that makes the most sense to me. It explains the irregularities with the victim's substantial blood loss, the pattern of the wound, and the indentation on the floor.
It might make medical sense, Dr. Sato, but the sequence of actions you've described are not those of a rational human.
But wanting to frame Sosuke for the murder seems pretty reasonable. And stabbing the corpse with his katana would be the best way to do that. Well, let me get a look at that log, just to make sure I, like... Like, if he's there anyway... On one hand, you wouldn't, like... If he's found standing over the, like, bodies... You don't exactly need to, like, frame him any more than just, like, leaving him the only one to, like, have that suspicion of guilt, but... Getting rid of the knife and then using the katana does indicate that the katana was meaningful in some way. I'll stay. You make a strong argument, Dr. Sato. In order to frame my client for Chopin's death, they'd have to put his fingerprints on the murder weapon, the knife. They wouldn't need to stab the corpse with Sosuke's katana. They could have just put the knife in its hands. Oh.
Swapping out the murder weapon and disposing of the knife is 2 to 4 times as much work. That many more chances to make a mistake. It's nonsensical.
Stabbing Chopin's corpse with the katana didn't help them frame Sosuke. So what did it achieve? It made a big mess some poor schmuck would have to clean up. Yes, that's... I did think about that when... I think it was... Was it 80? No, Emma pointed out that, like, it got blood everywhere. I thought of it, and then I just forgot how it would be relevant. Oh well. Bleh. Chopin's blood nearly destroyed all the red ink dots at the scene. But who says that's a coincidence? What if Chopin was stabbed twice, just so that his blood would cover up the red ink dots?
This is insane.
It makes sense to me.
No, not your logic for the stabbing. This idea of yours that Tariq Chopin was part of some kind of conspiracy to defraud the city.
Agreed, that is insane. I believe just the opposite.
What?
Tariq Chopin was an unpopular, straight-laced, political aspirant working as a cop only to improve his electability. His personality, his family, his goals, he'd have every reason to blow the whistle on Prop 492.
And just get the whole project cancelled?
Leaving the lower wards in an underdeveloped lurch. A lot of people would hate to see that happen. A lot of blue bloods. But the son of 2 city councilmen wouldn't care. And an Icaria like my client would be actively rooting for it.
You think Chopin was murdered just to cover up the fact that Prop 492 had been corrupted?
Just. All that money left on the table. All the future money coming down the line? That's a much better motive than... What was it you proposed, exactly? That my client saw a police officer and would rather stab him than have to explain why he'd killed his captors?
Something along those lines.
So, like, what's going on now? Did Sasuke do it or not? That will be cleared up in very short order, Your Honor. With the help of our final witness. Who could it be?
Oh, Hyoru wasn't even really used to frame me. He was used to draw more blood from the wound to soak the papers.
A very cold decision to make in the heat of the moment. Defiling a corpse just to protect investments. Colder than stabbing someone in the back. In some ways. Didn't think that was up for debate.
Thank you for joining us once again, Officer Rogers. No problem. Where is everybody, though?
Well, after the shooting yesterday, I'd rather not risk the integrity or celerity of this trial by rescreening every member of the gallery, when I've already cleared the room once.
Celerity?
Speed! Trials gotta go fast, baby! And it takes everyone a while to find their spot in the stands again. We were almost caught in the line of fire not 24 hours ago, Officer Rogers, yourself included. You surely don't find the lack of an audience to be intimidating?
No, I guess not.
Where'd we leave off with this guy anyway?
I believe that lawyer over there just accused my late partner of being on the take for the Blue Bloods.
I was merely exploring a possibility raised by the witness's sworn statement, Your Honor, that he never heard any gunshots in the area himself.
And I stand by that.
Good.
Does the defense have questions for this witness, Your Honor? Or should we all continue to glare at one another for the rest of the day?
Tempting, but I guess we'd better not. Your Honor, we ask that the witness testify once more about he and his partner arrived on the scene.
Yeah, no problem. I'll repeat it as many times as you like.
I'm gonna have to call you on that. The whistle.
It was a quiet night, but then my partner heard gunshots. We headed for the nearest known Orca hotspot and arrived to find the building dead quiet. Door was locked. I checked the alley, but didn't see another way in. So Chapin shot off the lock through the door and we entered. Followed some kind of loud music up the stairs, and there was a slam and my partner bolted up to the third floor. About a minute later, I heard a thud from upstairs and came running. I find the defendant standing over my patient partner's dead body.
Adonai, are you waiting for something, perhaps? Just savoring the moment, I suppose. I mean, Chapin hearing gunshots is the most obviously suspect part. Headed for the nearest known Orca hotspot, though, does also, like... kind of flag as, like, an interesting framing of, like, they didn't actually have any reason to believe that was, like, the right place. Like, we didn't try to follow the sound, we just went for somewhere we knew was suspicious. But that also sounds like something cops would do. And there's only one thing to do at this point, and once I hit the trigger on it, the things will really take off. Oh, I wonder if calling anytime would do that, since that was the only piece of evidence. Quit that already! As I've mentioned, I feel many times by now that it is a very unpleasant tone, Adonai. Sorry, Butterfingers.
Has anyone told you it's in poor taste to use the same trick twice?
It's been a lot more than twice now. And besides, it's only an issue when it's used twice on the same audience. Speaking of which... Whoa! You gonna answer that, Officer Rogers? Just to fill you in, officer, what I accidentally pressed just now was a whistle found at the scene of the crime. Weird coincidence that my little slip-up coincided with your phone vibrating. Can you read us the notification you received just now? Or should the court computer simply force open all your devices and splatter your data across the walls? Why did she word it like that?
Officer Rogers, you have a so-called receiver application on that device, do you not? Yes, I do. Is that in line with the department guidelines on use of third-party software on state-provided devices? It's not breaking any regulations.
It doesn't need to earn you any demerits to make you look guilty of sin. You and your partner, that is. Did Chopin also have the app installed? We can go check.
Having an app on your phone makes you guilty of something. You'd have to arrest half the cops patrolling the lower wards.
What do you mean?
It's common knowledge that orcas use unconventional tactics to talk to one another. Flags on buildings, clothes left out on lines, smoke signals, probably even messenger pigeons.
Where? Don't jump scare me like that. When you gotta figure this stat, you ask every pigeon is a disaster waiting to happen.
Anyway, whistles like that one aren't uncommon. So is it common for members of the police department to try to listen in on the chatter of groups like the Blue Blood Mafia? Well, rewards aren't a place for a cop, place a cop walks into without every weapon he can carry. And that goes double for information.
So there's nothing suspicious about his phone reacting to that horrible, horrible racket? Adonai, have I had to put up with that noise for nothing? Not for nothing. The witness is correct, Your Honor. There's nothing suspicious about having a receiver installed on any of your devices, even if you aren't a cop. What's incriminating is the fact that Officer Rogers' device responded to the specific frequency of this whistle. Sorry, officer, a little blue birdie already told the court that you need to input a frequency in order to get alerts for it.
Yeah, I know that. So does the whole force, in fact.
What?
I see.
The hell is she reading over there?
Officer Rogers. Testify about this anonymous tip that the police department received last night.
Oh, for...
I haven't seen the submission myself, but it came through the department network straight to everyone's inboxes. Be advised, anonymous tip suggesting potential Orca analog chatter at the frequency listed below.
Huh.
Patrol officers in lower wards use this information at your discretion.
That's absurd. What's the point of informing every cop in the city about a secret communications channel? The Blue Bloods would find out their line is compromised within minutes.
But I don't know. I don't control how anonymous tips get handled.
But as soon as you got an email telling you there might be criminal communication occurring at a random frequency, you tuned into it right away?
Believe it or not, I'm a little concerned about criminal communications these days. Having seen my partner murdered by an Orca right in front of me. Barely 24 hours before nearly getting shot myself.
Back up. You saw the moment of your partner's death? That's news to the court.
You know what I mean. Your Honor, the tip was submitted and the frequency was spread throughout the police department network. Likely because the Blue Bloods believed it to be compromised, having already been used at the scene where 4 of their members died. Officer Rogers may have the receiver app on his phone, but so do many other police officers in the city. The app doesn't provide timestamps of when the frequencies are added.
So there's no proof of when his phone first started listening for the frequency?
Neither he nor his partner were members of the organized crimes unit. Therefore, they had no criminal informants of their own, and they could not obtain this frequency before the rest of the department. Since the defense cannot prove that the signal was acquired illegitimately...
I never said I couldn't prove that. Blah, 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 blah. Mmm. I think that's tangible, because it was Rogers and Chopin who stopped tanks.
The gun? What of it?
Not just any gun. A Mag US, legally registered to Ankh-Tan. And how do I know that? Because this gun was identified and scanned over a week ago, when Tanks was briefly detained by some well-meaning officers on patrol.
Port.
Officers TC and HR reported the following. Subject in possession of firearm in violation of parole. And subject in possession of suspect communication software installed on personal phone.
You wrote all of that in the report?
You and your partner found the emergency frequency for Creek's Pod over a week ago by skimming Tanks' phone. And sat on it until last night when you kindly dropped it off in the tip box.
What the hell have you even saying? Why would we frisk a perp, get good intel, and keep it to ourselves?
For the same reason your partner might report a generic shots heard over the police network when he already knew exactly where to look. The same reason he'd be ecstatic at finding documents on Prop 492 at the site of an Orca bloodbath. You wanted your gold stars. You wanted to be first on the scene at the site of a blue blood massacre.
Council is badgering, Your Honor. And losing her meager thread of logic in the process. The previous witness testified that there was, in fact, a silent alarm that night. A silent alarm that needs to be actively pressed. It could only have gone out before Creek's heart stopped. Said witnesses responded to the alarm by traveling on foot, and yet arrived well before Rogers and Chopin.
The lower wards are maze-like. She could have been closer.
That whistle has a limited range over which it can be received. You propose that Officer Rogers and Chopin were within that limited range at 9:45 p.m., yes? Obviously you do, or else they would have never received that frequency at all.
So if Person H is on foot and Individual R is in a police car, and they both receive a signal at the same time, and a train leaves Appletown at 3 p.m., that seems like an irrelevant factor.
All the court needs to consider is this. How could Officer Rogers and Chopin have possibly arrived later than someone traveling on foot if all three were within that range?
Can't believe I told my geometry teacher that none of this would ever be useful. This isn't geometry, damn it, it's just logic. The fact is, they did arrive later than Han. If I'm right about the motivation for Chopin's actions that night, if he was sitting in his police car and suddenly got a notification telling him some blue bloods were having a life-or-death emergency, how would he react in that moment?
Test?
Hello?
Okay, so I'm still here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was just one of those quick little weird Discord things where it made a disconnect-reconnect noise, but I was hearing the whole time. It would seem that the defense does not have evidence available to address this contradiction, Your Honor.
Evidence explaining exactly how Chopin proceeded to the crime scene? Take a quick scan. Feel like there's anything at all tangible. Did I look at this? I don't know that I remember. Oh! Yeah, I do remember looking at that. Awesome.
For some reason.
For some reason. I don't feel like I have on. I don't have evidence, but I don't think I have the evidence for this, but it feels like it could be possible that if oh, what was I trying to say? Like, if he was waiting because he wanted to, like, happen upon him, like, the Blue Bloods having been killed already, he wouldn't want to, like, show up immediately. Forgot about this. That's really interesting. Is there anything I have that can actually, like, lead to that? I'm gonna raise anyway. Never stop gambling. Of course I have evidence that explains this contradiction. Fuck! I just have to go get it.
Smooth, counselor. Flawless, really.
Ouch, they bit me for an extra 5 on top of the blind. I may not have the evidence on hand, Your Honor, but sometimes living in a surveillance police state has its perks.
Pardon?
Like when you want to surveil police officers. The officer's patrol car, their cell phones, traffic cameras, and optics data. I could request any of it, hell. Your Honor, I formally subpoena all of it.
What? What? Did she do that?
I'm not sure. I'm still learning. Reyes' drunken swipe at my front door reminded me exactly how much power the police have. Music for when the dude in her bio dies. I'm gonna scream. But it was her dutiful checking in that made me realize just how hard it is to lose a cop in this city. Whatever it takes to answer this question for the court. After Officer Chopin reported that he heard shots fired at 9:45 p.m., exactly how long did he and his partner do donuts in the parking lot before actually driving off to the scene? Kind of a big ask from the defense, but it's entirely doable. Do the people object?
The people, of course, object to any data collection effort that would be a waste of taxpayers' money or a violation of their privacy. So we would prefer that the range of this request be narrowed somewhat. Narrowed perhaps from everything to something.
Give me all of the data you have. Happy to do that, Your Honor. I promise not to act like a kid in a candy shop and browsing through.
If you do this, you subpoena that data, you'll just see me driving like an lethargic moron.
He put his hat on.
Officer Rogers?
He seems different. Hardly recognize him.
Agreed, but I recognize his type. Soldier. Your Honor, what the defense is suggesting is largely accurate. Pardon?
That's a first.
No, there are some corrections I feel I should make at this time.
No objections here.
Officer Chopin is the one who discovered the frequency when we apprehended on Curtan. He entered it into both our receiver apps at the time without my knowledge. It wasn't until the night in question that he chose to inform me of the intel he had obtained, and how he planned on acting on it. At 9:45 p.m., we received a signal. Before I could react, he had put out a notice on the police network that he had heard gunshots. It was at this time that he told me to drive towards Blue Blood territory. As he started to explain to me what he believed we would find, I chose to take a suboptimal route. I spent several minutes in traffic as he berated me for my sense of direction. So you both knew this silent alarm would lead you to some kind of blue blood emergency.
But only you realized that meant you should take your time getting there.
Logically, a silent alarm is triggered during a confrontation, not afterwards. I had no desire to walk into the crossfire of an Orca gunfight without backup. Could have had backup, easily. My partner had no desire to share our intel or how we obtained it. I apologize to the court, Your Honor, for being evasive or misleading during these proceedings. And I intend to take full responsibility for doing so. But I was not eager to admit the role my own cowardice played in these events. Nor would I want to imply that Officer Chopin was responsible in any way for his own murder. Very warm sentiments from the officer.
Delivered with a voice as cozy as ice water.
So, you're telling the court that you and your partner arrived at what you expected to be a bloodbath, and you still shot the lock off a door and started stomping around inside while separated from one another? Respectfully, ma'am, with the route I took and the time it took us to arrive, we expected to find all targets neutralized. And that expectation was reinforced when we arrived on the street and found the whole vicinity dead quiet. Yet we were still first on the scene, despite my stalling for time. I think that might have enthused my partner. He was excited, and I let him set the pace. It is my deepest regret that I agreed with his request to split up.
First to arrive on the scene, we know that wasn't the case. Blue Blood got there well before you and your partner.
That's what you were talking about? The witness wasn't present for that individual's testimony. He's merely giving the facts as he knows them. And he can't have known there was a Blue Blood in the building.
On the contrary, he already testified about encountering them yesterday, as they made a not-so-silent retreat down into the alleyway.
That was a Blue Blood making all that racket? I see. My partner, Chopin, shouted that there was someone scrambling around down in the alley not long before he was killed. He must have opened the windows on the third floor to check. That's a new detail, Officer Rogers. Pardon me if I failed to mention it yesterday.
It occurs to me you weren't present in the courtroom when this other curious detail was brought to light. The fact that there was another weapon at the scene of the crime. A bloodied knife which somehow ended up down in the dumps. Know anything about that?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Playing dumb, wrong move.
But I do know Scientists is a bunch of amateurs with conflicted priorities.
Explain this to the court, then. Forensic analysis has already shown that this knife was the murder weapon used to stab Miller, getting a healthy amount of his blood on it in the process. It's also been established that this knife must have been what my client used to cut his own bindings.
If you say so.
The evidence says so.
If the defense isn't interested in asking the witness questions, perhaps they'll answer mine. What does this have to do with Officer Rogers?
Everything, of course. Allow me to show you why. Interesting. What am I actually trying to answer now? Okay, I don't actually know. But I feel like the only tangible things we know about Sosuke's injuries that could be in relation at all is like we feel like he was, I think we learned that he was hit pretty hard though on the back of the head. Oh, I've missed it. It's the medical record. Yeah, large wound on the back of the head. Yeah, noted when arrested. And that definitely involves... well, I'll try and...
Your client's medical data?
He cut himself on his finger with that knife, trying to get out of his bindings.
And how does that relate to Officer Rogers?
He really should have offered him first aid, don't you think?
Don't quit your day job to become an injury lawyer counselor.
Oh well.
Or maybe you should, if this is the best you can do as a criminal defense attorney.
Can't get rid of me that easily. I mean, I feel like it's not gonna be the whistle. Although maybe it will be. Maybe I'll look real silly. We know for a fact that Sosuke had to use that knife to cut his bonds. And Detective London has testified that Officer Rogers apprehended Sosuke alone. So why can't the officer who apprehended the man last known to be using this knife tell us how it ended up in the alley? Yeah. I could have thought of that.
That is a question well worth asking the witness. I have no idea what you're talking about. When I found your client, he had the Mag US and he had the sword. The sword he had stuck through my partner. This knife you're talking about? Where'd you find it?
In the trash. Drum.
Down in the alley? Well, then some crime scene tech idiot must have thrown it out thinking it was bio-waste. Or some scientist lackey tossed it as a prank. I wouldn't know. So I spent hours being debriefed in that room on the 3rd floor while they set up the arcs. I spent all night in a room with my partner's corpse. Never took a trip down to the empty the recycling bin.
We know the knife was with Sosuke at one point, and we know it ended up down in the alley later. So it stands to reason that someone had to walk it downstairs and out of the building. If Rogers never left that room all night, then someone else must have moved it. I don't completely remember it, and I don't know if anything's gonna mention in a helpful way. But the, like... I kind of feel like I remember... but I might have misread when we found the knife. That the, like, trash or like... Well, no, Sarah keeps clarifying that it wasn't in the trash, so it must not have been... Like, the barrel was next to the dumpster. It could have been dropped from the window. I think he must have. 0 points for you. 0 points again. Oh, that processing power, and you can't manage to think in 3D? It doesn't matter if Officer Rogers stayed in that room all night, Your Honor. All anyone needed to do to dispose of the knife was step out onto the fire escape and... drop the knife down into the barrel waiting below. No need to leave the 3rd floor. No need to leave the crime scene at all, Officer Rogers.
What kind of trick shot bullshit are you talking about? That is a long drop, Your Honor.
A straight drop. Gravity is convenient like that.
The target was a small drum in a dark alley.
Said drum was burning when the police arrived. The target would have been plainly lit, and... I've taken both of your arguments into consideration. After much deliberation, I have come to the conclusion that the proposed method of removing the knife from the 3rd floor is not actually that hard to do. Assuming a modicum of hand-eye coordination and a basic understanding of Newtonian physics.
Well, obviously. Couldn't anyone manage that?
Practiced martial artists who are masters of every muscle in their body. Individuals like yourself. And me. might find it hard to relate. But there are some who would struggle with the task. Yourself and I. Wait, hand-eye coordination?
Eloquently put, Your Honor. So you must agree that someone with hand-eye coordination so bad that they hold the record for worst marksmanship in the entire police department? Someone with such poor aim that they opted to physically assault a target rather than shoot them? Someone like that might find it impossible to pull that off.
Check. Are you talking about me?
She's talking about me, Your Honor. And while I find her tone unflattering, none of what she said is false. Apologies, that dropping the fire from the escape didn't occur to me as a possibility. It must just be that for me personally, such a method of compromising a crime scene is not only unthinkable, it's impossible.
With all the stupid details to come back and bite me in the ass, the piss-poor aim that London mentioned. Is it possible that Officer Rogers faked his poor aim at the academy?
It's easy to not hit your target. But why would he intentionally flunk a shooting test years ago to give himself such a strange alibi for today?
He didn't flunk his test. He got the very lowest score you could possibly get while still being certified.
Good lord, you'd have to be trying to...
If his goal was to receive the exact minimum number of points needed to pass, his margin of error would actually be much smaller than anyone simply doing their best.
But then, what about when he first saw me? It's true that any other cop who saw me standing over their dead partner would have just unloaded. Instead, he ran up and hit me. If he's not actually that bad a shot, why am I still alive?
That's the story Rogers has been telling so far, that he instinctually didn't bother to fire.
But we all know cops will hear a noise, pull a gun, and shoot all their rounds into the darkness.
Cops don't need to be good shots to immediately use their, killing tool that they keep on at all times to try and kill anything they can.
They're only good shots with dogs.
His gun wasn't discharged, and Sosuke's got the bruises, so he accepted that line of reasoning. But if I assume he's more dangerous than he's led us to believe, why wouldn't he have just shot Sasuke when he had the chance? He could have told his fellow officers whatever story he liked afterwards, and we wouldn't even be having this trial. I feared for my life, that's all he'd need to say. Under what circumstances would it have been impossible for him to claim that? Your Honor, I'm reminded just now that my client and the witness were in a physical altercation.
I apprehended a murder suspect, yes. Surely you aren't suggesting that I used unreasonable force.
If anything, you used unreasonably little. Not at all, but I imagine things happened fairly fast. Isn't it possible that a knife on Sosuke's person may have been knocked away into a corner during that moment?
What are you... It may have. I can't say I would have necessarily noticed something clattering onto the floor while I was trying to cuff a violent perp.
Perhaps, Your Honor, the witness ought to testify about everything he recalls from the moment he confronted my client. Jogging his memory might be the only way we can address these gaps in our knowledge.
No objections.
And then let's hear it. Good versus evil, man versus machine, cop versus robber.
I'm not a machine, or a robber.
Don't worry, Sasuke. If need be, Adonai would go through a whole trial just to prove you're a machine.
What kind of joke is that?
I've got Yoru, the fire escape, and Sosuke's medical records.
When that blue blood fled down the fire escape into the alley, I poked my head out the second floor window. But then I heard a sickening thump from above on the third floor where I knew my partner was. Reflexively, I drew my service weapon and rushed up the stairs, where I saw the defendant standing over my partner's dead body. I was shocked, but he was clearly injured and the sword was stuck, so before I knew it, I was running at him. He turned to me with a dull shock just as I whipped my pistol butt into his forehead. He collapsed after that, and the room was a mess. My blood was pumping. If he had dropped a knife at that time, I wouldn't have noticed it.
I see. Despite his change in posture, he's still telling the same story. Yeah, he hasn't changed his tune. But he is giving more detail than ever before. Yeah, hold on. Just double check, since we can do that at any time. Crown of the skull back of the head, near the top. Ah!
Ooh, scary.
Just to be safe. And one of those details is about to bite him in the ass. What a bet.
Why me?
Sounds very brave, Officer Rogers, but that's physically impossible. How could you have knocked my client out with one strike to the forehead when it was the back of his head that was injured?
What are you talking about? Yesterday I had bruises across his entire body.
An exaggeration that doesn't hold up to the scrutiny of his actual medical record. The largest wound found on the crown of head. The crown, as in the top of the back of the head. The butt of a pistol leaves a surprisingly specific impression on the human body, Officer Rogers. I assume Dr. Sato is still in the building. Perhaps we should call her back and have her examine my client on the stand. Sasuke, you'll have to remove your shirt.
Examine his head? To get my head checked? That would be a waste of time, Your Honor.
Should have said it before clicking away, but Sarah was hitting that, like, yes, I agree pose.
Counselor Morgan has taken advantage of some rather vague wording in the medical record to make her argument. Largest wound. But the fact is, the defendant was covered in various bruises all over his body when he was taken into custody, including on the front of his skull. He's not wrong, I still remember every ache. It's entirely possible that when Officer Rogers struck the defendant on the forehead, the blow was glancing. But still hard enough to knock the defendant backwards. And he had fallen backwards, hard. He very easily could have sustained a large wound to the crown of his head. At the moment he hit the ground.
Respectfully, Your Honor, that's
Ultimately not something either the people nor the defense are experts on. But even if we were, neither of us could examine wounds that are no longer visible.
Sasuke's injuries. They've mostly healed as of this morning. I hope that injection helped you sleep really well last night, Sasuke.
Your Honor, as I see it, either we could extend this trial indefinitely, with both the people in defense flying in X-ray specialists and contusion analysis to argue back and forth about fracture lines, or we could accept that events more or less took place as the witness described. He hit the defendant on the head, and then the defendant fell backwards onto the floor.
If the head wound's open to interpretation, then I guess otherwise this data does support the story. It is possible that events took place exactly as Rogers has described. But if that's the case, Sasuke would have fallen onto his back, and yet the medical records tell us that he was covered in blood on the front of his body. Officer Rogers claims that Sasuke was hit on the forehead and fell backwards, but what would he have fallen onto? In that room? Probably blood and guts. Yuck! You're exactly right. All kinds of firsts happening in the courtroom today. He would have gotten blood all across his back.
Important.
One more time?
Oh, why do people say the firsts are so important?
But that's not how he looked when he was arrested. The medical report clearly states that he had blood on the front of his body, telling us that Sasuke could only have fallen forward.
What of it? Maybe he did. Maybe he turned his head weird while trying to dodge. Things happened fast.
Don't try to bullshit a bullshitter. Fast enough that you may have, in fact, actually struck my client from behind.
Yeah, maybe.
Took him by surprise when he was no threat to you.
What? No.
Easy target to knock out at that point. Makes sense why you wouldn't use lethal force in that scenario.
No, he was... Guy got nearly a full head on me.
True. True.
I don't deny it. Which makes it highly unlikely the witness could have simply hit him on the crown.
Pardon me, I need to borrow my wife.
Okay.
Oh no, the white borrower. Bum bum ba da ba ba bum ba da 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 da. Excuse me.
Okay, all good.
If things happened as you say, and he had the element of surprise, he would have simply aimed for the easiest target possible, the one easiest to reach, the center or bottom of the skull.
Not quite.
Excuse me?
I never said that my client was standing up when this happened. You mean... he was asleep? No. Considering that he was struck on the crown of his head, it's obvious that at the time, Sosuke Ikaria was. I mean, bent over? Picking up the sword? My client must have been bent over. He was bent over when the witness came from behind and... Atane. What? Why are you interrupting me now? Because I thought you would want to know you were about to phrase things in a way that would sound very silly. What are you talking about?
What was the phrasing?
Witness came from behind while he was bent over.
Okay.
You know how it is.
I was right, Morgan. You should let her take this one.
What? It was when Sosuke bent over to pick up Yoru. That's when Officer Rogers struck Sosuke on his crown.
As I've said, the one thing I do remember besides walking out there was picking up my sword. Picking it up off the ground. Letting your android argue the weaker points for you now, counselor. Not exactly the bravest tactic.
Tactics are for freshening your breath.
Jesus.
What's your fucking problem? What can you claim is weak about the argument?
Positioning. And your client really had, if your client really had walked out of that holding room and was then immediately hit from behind, where could his assailant have possibly been standing?
Sosuke had to get out of his bindings first, and then push open the door. And he wouldn't have been concerned with keeping quiet as he went. There would have been plenty of time for someone to hear him rummaging around in there, and figure out where they could hide. In the corner of the room, here.
It doesn't work. If that was the case, your client would have fallen face first here. But instead, he was apprehended here in the center of the room.
Hey, makes sense to me. Looks like he dropped like a sack of potatoes by the door, sure. But then he was dragged to the center of the room. Would explain the streaks of blood we can see were discovered on the floor. So those weren't left by him gliding his feet in order to move silently?
Right, I forgot about her theory.
I was hoping to learn that technique.
Your Honor, I fear the defense may not realize the weight of the implication that her statement carries. If, as she claims, Sosuke Ikaria was knocked unconscious by Officer Rogers the moment he walked out into that room,
And then my client never had any opportunity to stab Tariq Chopin in the back. And the only remaining individual who could possibly have killed him
would be me.
Oh, I don't like the confidence. Yes. Any thoughts on that, officer?
There's one thought that's been frustrating me for some time, actually. One I expected the prosecutor to voice, but perhaps I misjudged her. You what? None of what you're saying makes any sense. You say I hid in the corner to surprise Sosuke, and that I then, what? Snuck up on Chopin? How could I do any of that if I was downstairs at the time Chopin was killed? At the time Sosuke killed him. You...
It's not that the thought hadn't occurred to Emma, you idiot. It's that once I address this point, your entire testimony falls apart. And the truth of the case becomes crystal clear. There's no misunderstanding on my part, and I suspect none on the part of the people either. Because the truth is, when you and your partner arrived, you must have immediately... Did we get... I don't think we got Han's testimony. And it's probably too far back to get in the logs. Yeah. This is Rogers' portion. Let me think. Maybe he actually took the lead? Ah! You were the one who took point, not your partner.
Use me?
Chopin shot open the lock, sure, I believe that. He was the one all gung-ho about coming there anyway. But after entering, you went ahead of him while he covered you.
What?
You already told us you wanted to stall, wait for backup. If Chopin charged forward, you couldn't slow him down. But if you went first, you could go as slowly as you liked, and Chopin would be forced to match your pace. You were the one who cleared the room and shouted down that everyone was dead.
Told you, I testified.
And so did your blue blood tail. Testified all about how you and your partner separated on the second floor.
Objection, mischaracterization of testimony. The witness the defense is referring to did encounter 2 officers, but the witness never identified either of them.
The blue blood didn't need to. All they were waiting to hear was whether any blue bloods were alive. So after Rogers shouted down to Chopin that everyone was dead, they bolted out the second floor window. And when Chopin shouted someone was in the alley, Officer Rogers opened the windows behind Creek's body to try and spot the runner. Then he ran down the fire escape to try and follow them, only to give up when he saw there was no ladder to get down with.
Entirely possible that Chopin yelled that someone was in the alley from the 3rd floor.
The scene of the crime is soundproof, remember? No one in that room would notice a commotion in the alley unless they'd already opened the windows to check it. So since Chopin yelled about it, he had to have been the officer who stayed on the 2nd floor.
This blue blood rat of yours just misheard. Or they're lying. There's no proof for any of this.
Yes, there is, officer. Oh, it's his stupid cop boots. I'm going all in on the stupid cop boots.
That scrap of paper was found by the 2nd floor windowsill.
But it's not just any scrap of paper. It matches the red ink documents that were found where the pod died. And it happens to have a partial boot print on it, proving that someone stomped from the crime scene down the fire escape and into the 2nd floor.
It doesn't prove anything. Your own client could have left that boot print.
My client was arrested barefoot, remember? You should. You did the arresting.
Maybe Chopin...
If Chopin was the one who brought the scrap down from the 3rd floor, that would put him behind you. Meaning you couldn't have walked in on him being attacked by Sosuke.
Counselor. Even if we accept that Rogers was on the 3rd floor and then moved down to the 2nd, the sequence you're describing ends with both officers reunited on the 2nd floor, with neither of them dead. But obviously, Chopin did proceed to the 3rd floor because that's where he was killed. So now we're back where we started.
Back where we started? You're forgetting one key detail in this new sequence of events. At the time the officers reunited on the 2nd floor, my client was already unconscious. Interesting. Meaning the only person who had a chance to kill Officer Chopin was, in fact...
None of this shit matters. This lawyer is trying to accuse me of killing my partner? Doesn't make any goddamn sense. Why would I do something like that?
Depends.
What?
Depends where you live. Not uptown, I assume.
What's to you?
Single bedroom?
Yeah, whatever.
Not great.
Excuse me?
And having to ride around all day with some insufferable, spoiled rich stick in the mud. Knowing the whole time that you, your job, your whole goddamn police department. It was all just a bullet point on his resume.
Counsel is badgering the witness in lieu of making an actual argument.
Apologies, Your Honor. I'll state the motive plainly. Prop 492 was corrupt. Blue Bloods and worse would profit off it at the city's expense. But it would also bring economic relief and badly needed repairs to the lower wards. It might also stop the canopy from, just falling down and crushing everyone who lives there. But a climber like Chopin wouldn't care about any of that. Every photo I've seen of this guy, he's had a big, stern frown. But I'll bet he was grinning ear to ear when he found that red ink. Must have made you sick to your stomach. So you killed him, and then you bled him like a pig to try and destroy the documents he'd have plastered all over town.
You're crazy. That's not possible.
Do the people have anything to add? Eva hates losing, but she's not stupid. She must be getting sick of having to cover for this.
Officer Rogers. You were the one who entered the third floor first, weren't you?
What is she doing?
Yes. How long were you there before your partner alerted you to someone escaping through the alley? More than 2 minutes, less than 3. You had a chance to start looking the room over? Yes. And did you see anything as politically explosive as what the defense has described? No, nothing of the sort.
Your Honor, the witness is blatantly lying. We know the documents were there, and we know Chopin found them because they were found underneath his corpse.
And it's the defense's theory that he was killed because of those documents. Because he would have tried to make them public, essentially.
Yes.
That's the defense's proposed motive for this man to kill his partner?
Yes.
I see. But why would he be prepared to kill his partner for reading documents left out on a desk? When he had over 2 minutes to simply get rid of them beforehand.
Check. Oh.
Damn good question, Your Honor.
Do we have an answer for it? I'm getting there. I'll get there. I'm close. His layers are falling off. This is a cold guy. Cold enough to walk into that room, knock out Suski, and start calmly looking around. So, is he lying? Did he actually see those papers? No. Im is right. If the papers were in plain view, he'd just have tucked them into his jacket. If the papers were in plain view... Were they? Ugh, I don't remember. Where the hell did I put them if not on the desk? I remember taking them out of Creek's safe and thinking they were nothing important, so I just... Okay. That's probably how one page got left where it could stick to the bottom of Roger's boot. But before I left, I reorganized things, tried to make it seem like I was never there, so I stacked things neatly. Yoo-hoo, Counselor! Any cuckoos in or around the nest? Pardon me, Your Honor, I was simply overthinking, to be honest. Officer Rogers didn't dispose of the red ink when he had the chance because he didn't notice the red ink. It's that simple.
A simple answer to a simple question that simply doesn't measure up. If Officer Rogers didn't notice the red ink docs in the 2 minutes he had with the scene, how did his partner discover them so quickly? Neither of them were looking for illicit government documents at the site of a gang shooting. Neither of them would want to start disturbing a crime scene where there were bodies and blood all around them.
Correct. Rationally, neither officer would want to start making a mess of the scene. Something must have simply caught Officer Chopin's eye. Very bad luck on his part, as it turns out.
Gotta be. hell are you talking about?
What could it have been? This sounds like a tough question to answer, but there aren't as many possibilities to sift through as you'd think, Your Honor. Because it would have to be something that caught Officer Chopin's eye, yet not that of his partner. In other words, something at the scene that Officer Rogers wouldn't recognize.
Your Honor, this is pointless. The officers knew this was the site of an orca violence from the silent alarm of orca violence. And there was blood and corpses all over the damn place. And if red ink docs were not in plain sight amidst all that carnage, what could possibly have drawn Officer Chopin's attention to them?
If I need to retrace Chopin's steps specifically, was there anything in the evidence record that he left a trace on? Yes, there was, and I remember because it's caught my eye every time. It would have been... It's not giving me the tablet, because that was the thing that had his prints on it, but he would have checked for the dark card. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot we were...
Let's say data pad there.
I think this still works. I forgot that, I got it mixed up, and I forgot we were looking for something that caught Rogers' attention. Oh, but the datapad is on the papers. I don't think I actually read that. Hold on. When Rogers first entered the crime scene, he must have seen Creek's datapad resting on top of some papers.
You think the red ink documents were beneath the datapad at the time? I might explain why Rogers didn't notice them, but that's only half an answer.
Then how's this? It wasn't the datapad that drew Chopin's attention, Your Honor. Okay, yeah. Okay. It was the dark card that was stuck inside it.
Dark card?
Seems like little more than a fancy credit card to you or I. But if you're rich enough, it's an unmistakable sign of powerful forces at play. Exactly the kind of thing that would put a gleam in the eyes of the politically ambitious Officer Chopin. Right up until the moment he saw the bombshell hidden underneath the datapad.
Your Honor, this speculation.
Chopin's prints were discovered on the datapad, Your Honor. We know he must have picked it up. And that datapad was found by police on the desk, so we know he must have put it down. I'm merely proposing that he didn't put it back down in the exact same spot.
It's because this dark card happened. Hey, seriously. What the hell have you two been talking about? What the shit is a dark card?
Cryptographically anonymous wallet card that rich people used to buy illegal drugs and gifts for their mistresses. Not common knowledge unless you ran in circles as high up as the city council.
Oh. Yeah, you're right. I didn't know that. Never heard of that. Assumed you were being literal. It is a dark card.
Great. Thanks, dude.
Yeah, to be honest, wouldn't surprise me. Chopin going around picking up whatever he wanted at a crime scene without even radioing first. Sound about right. Bare hands, mouth breathing. Guy was big on following the rules, just wasn't that good at remembering any of them. Not me, though. I remember every rule. All of them, too. Partner breaks a body cam, I request a new one. Let him use mine. Stop him from getting sued by the next punk he bumps into. It's a real risk for him. He had money. People would sue him if they could. No one would try to sue Huey Rogers. Only thing that judge could award them would be my own goddamn debts. I don't think I'm bad with money, just bad with debt. I never seem to get rid of the stuff. But even I'm not so stupid that I wouldn't wear gloves at a goddamn crime scene.
You mean...
Obviously, counselor. From the minute we pulled up to that building until I was relieved from duty and sent home the next morning, I was wearing gloves. 3 stories in an alleyway, and I can swear on my parents' graves I didn't contaminate 1 millimeter of it. I didn't put my greasy fingerprints on the windows, the doors, the murder weapons. You'd never even know I was there. So you can say I did this, or claim I did that. But the city's only ever gonna hear that some Ikarian bastard killed a bunch of blue blood punks. And that Tariq Chopin died a hero trying to save the day. Right.
Donnie, is that true? Is that possible? After all this, is it possible that... But the jury, surely they can see... The jury will see what the adjutant decides they need to see in order to properly render their verdict. If the adjutant comes to the conclusion that a witness or a line of questioning would only serve to confuse the jury... AD, Your Honor, the jury... Give me a second... Give me a second to think here, girl. I'm trying to build consensus, and basically everyone's mad.
So maybe the adjutant rules in our favor, and maybe the jury sees things our way.
But there are no guarantees. After all that, it just... comes down to a gamble. Always does. Yeah. But you still get a chance to sculpt your hand. And I can do a lot better than this pile of shit. Just have to take my licks first. Your Honor, I disagree.
About what exactly?
About all of it. About everything. Look, we know someone moved from the 3rd floor to the 2nd floor via the fire escape because of that scrap of paper. Which would have put them in the perfect position to walk up behind Chopin. And we know Chopin picked up the datapad because his fingerprints are on it. So we can reason Chopin was investigating the desk before he died. And of course we know he died reading the red ink documents because duh! His body was found collapsed on top of him. Put that all together and...
Nothing. You still have nothing. Nothing except circumstantial evidence tying this witness to a theoretical sequence of events.
Emma, did you get hit in the head too?
What?
We have Officer Rogers' fingerprints on the murder weapon.
What?
They'll never go all in unless they think your hand is crap. Put on a show! Roger's pistol used to KO Sasuke, struck on top back of his head, no shots fired? Sure. It's what we've got. His prints were on the pistol he used to bludgeon my client, of course.
What? What are you... No, they aren't. As he said, he was wearing gloves. Also, that gun was never fired. What are you talking about?
Now that you mention it, yeah. Shoot, did I get my notes mixed up? Broken bat, only partial prints. This was what I immediately thought of. That's right, the bat. Did you think we wouldn't notice you left your fingerprints on it just because it was broken into splinters?
Baseball bat used on Trey? Forensics failed to pull a single print on that. Is this your idea of a joke?
Jeez, take it easy, I misspoke a little. Also, I don't have my reading glasses.
What?
The Mag US that was used to kill tanks in Creek. Pretty stupid to forget to wipe your prints off a piece that gaudy, don't you think?
Counselor, what is this? Are you throwing a tantrum? Making a mockery of the courtroom? Only prints on that gun belong to Sosuke Ikaria.
Oh. Sorry, guess I was thinking of another case.
Is there perhaps a gas leak on the other side of the courtroom?
The blade. Well, don't I feel stupid. What I've been trying to say is that Officer Rogers failed to notice that he left his fingerprints on the most important weapon of all. The very blade that took his partner's life.
Enough of this embarrassment. What the hell's wrong with you? I know a mob lawyer would be corrupt and vile, but how can you be such a stupid bimbo? You think we're all idiots? My fingerprints aren't on that goddamn knife, and you know it.
My mistake. I can see here that, yes, I was misreading the fine details. And it does appear that your fingerprints are not on that knife. Sorry. He didn't...
Miles. You?
Oh dear.
What? What? What is it?
Oh, I guess we're all just wondering. How long have you known it was this knife that was used to kill your partner? Just one more thing. I saw you do it.
What?
Confused? So are these two. Because, like you, neither of them were in the courtroom when Dr. Sato updated her autopsy report. So I knew that Chopin was killed with a knife. And the people knew that Chopin was killed with a knife. But how did you know that?
There must have been 50 cops in here when that doctor...
Far fewer than 50, actually. More like 0. We had already emptied the courtroom by then, a courtesy we extended to a blue blood witness.
You're some blue blood rat, you... You crazy harpy, trying to trick me at the last second? You think I walked in here unprepared? No, of course not. She's right there, Rockford. She's right there, Rockford, the prosecutor. Before I took the stand, she told me all about the knife.
Ah. So that's your plan.
Uh-oh. Right, Rockford? Before I came out here, didn't you?
It's always great to reveal a full house and rake in the pot. It's even better to reveal a handful of shit you bluffed your way to victory with.
Something already. Just say it.
But every now and then, a different kind of victory comes along. Where you just get to sit back and watch someone else self-destruct. Because they completely misread the dealer.
Say it. Say that you...
Whoa!
Shut up!
Holy shit!
What? Just shut up! Is that so hard? Are my instructions unclear? Do you need me to salute you first? Stop talking! You are completely, utterly, 100% guilty! Why the hell would I perjure myself to help you? What? Hey! Start counting! Because from this second on, every word that comes out of your mouth adds directly to the number of years you're going to rot in jail. Unless those words are your confession. He's the Hound of Icaria! He murders people for the mob! We can put him away! They don't want to put him away!
Oh.
Not for your crime. Not for murdering the son of 2 city councilmen. Have you lost your goddamn mind? He's a murderer.
Well, not all murderers are created equally.
Well, not all murderers are hunted equally.
Ooh.
Nobility assassinating each other. Let it ride. Keeps them divided. Orcas fighting in the lower wards. Let them sort it out. Keeps their numbers down. A monster shoots 6 women in the heart and leaves no evidence behind? Call us back when he kills someone important.
Strange. Once she's properly infuriated, there's usually no stopping her. Well, if she's not going to twist the knife herself, I shouldn't let it go to waste. Your Honor, if the witness is having trouble choosing a place to start for his confession, perhaps I might help by laying out the details for him.
Women will see a perfectly good knife stabbed into someone and go, is anyone going to twist that? Not wait for an answer.
And thank God. Oh.
You sadistic bitch.
You got it.
I got it.
He was counting on Emma to step in. Now he's sliding down the rocky face of despair. Fingernails split and bloody as he attempts in vain to slow the descent. Not very dignified, so I won't leave him hanging. I'll be happy to speed him along. In summary, a week ago, you acquired a blue blood distress signal when you arrested Tanks, but your partner insisted on letting him go and keeping the code to yourselves. So, the night of the murder, when the alarm went out, he jumped at the chance to be the first unit on the scene at what could be a gang shootout. You did all you could to stall, but your partner pressed on, and even shot open the door in his hurry to get into the locked building. You made up an excuse to keep him on the 2nd floor and proceeded to the 3rd on your own, relieved that everyone is already dead. And puzzled by the delirious Sosuke, who you knocked out with one blow to the back of the head. But by calling down to your partner to convince him you were already too late, you alerted an orca hiding downstairs. And when they fled out the window and down into the alley, you opened the windows at the crime scene to give chase. While you were scanning the alley from the 2nd floor fire escape, your partner proceeded upstairs, where he was just as stunned as you were, but intrigued by the presence of a dark card you'd never recognize. He knew that it pointed towards the involvement of powerful parties. It was simply bad luck that he found the red ink before you. But he must have felt like he'd won the lottery. He was the one man in the city who'd benefit the most from exposing the corruption it hinted at. We don't get that one enough, but good heavens.
Yeah.
He must have been salivating at the opportunity right in front of you. Standing in the blood without a second thought. You had taken the knife from Sasuke, hadn't even thought about it up until that point. You knew once the rest of the force arrived, there'd be no stopping the red ink from going on the record. You had one chance to blot it out for good.
It's all a lie. Just smoke and mirrors, tricks and guesswork. A Hound of Icaria standing right there next to you. The Blue Bloods themselves even tried to kill him, right in front of all of us.
No, they didn't.
Excuse me?
I have it on very good authority. The Blue Bloods wouldn't want my client assassinated.
Oh, I'm sure.
So considering where the shooter was and the direction he was aiming, the only person he could have been aiming at would be, well, you!
What the hell are you talking about?
Seems like the old guard wanted to make sure there'd be a swift punishment for letting Prop 492 blow up. So you can keep protesting your innocence if you want, it might work out. And you might be able to avoid the next Blue Blood to come after you, and the next after that. You might survive just long enough to end up the only casualty in a tragically unavoidable case of friendly fire. Blue's coming after you from above and below. Who gets there first is a coin toss, so tell me. You feeling lucky? Well?
Whoa. You.
Any questions?
You and this DA, you're
Officer?
both... You're all... out of your damn minds!
Fold. Do you work for the Blue Bloods?
Never thought of it that way. Back when I was a kid, I thought they were just another institution. Like a neighborhood watch. People looking out for each other. Everyone's parents were off working or enlisted or in jail for civil disobedience. Whole neighborhoods that cops, medics, goddamn firemen wouldn't set foot in. Didn't see it as transactional. Thought I was just lending a hand. My blood ain't worth shit. Wasn't useful enough to be a young blood. Not good looking enough to be a host. I kept going to school. They helped me pay for it. Because it was, in fact, transactional, they expected to get something in return. Police Academy. Their man on the inside. Wasn't as exciting as it sounds. I made sure it wasn't. Test scores sucked. Aptitude sucked. Clumsy and boring. I made sure no one would want to give me anything important to do. Valuable enough that the Blue Bloods wouldn't out me. Not valuable enough that the cops would give me anything worth passing on. World's worst double agent. So bad at his job, he'd never be expected to double-cross anyone. Imagine the look on my face when my reputation for nothingness gets me paired with the worst babysitting job on the force.
Tariq Chopin.
We were perfectly matched in a way. I didn't want to be near nothing, and nobody wanted to let him near anything. Nothing dangerous enough to get him hurt, nothing real enough he'd go blabbing to his dad's. We went around to schools. Those are the jobs we'd get. Building security. Morning assemblies. Telling the kids what cops do. Here's how to call for help. You were a goddamn joke.
There are worse things to be.
You think I don't know that? You think I gave a shit that the kids were laughing at us in the back of the class? The teens were throwing soda cans at our car? Good for them. At least they were having fun. Greek was never having fun. He just... burning inside. Humiliation and bile, a stomach full of it. He hadn't found the code on tanks that day, I don't know. Guy would have either put in his 2 weeks notice or just drawn his gun and walked into the nearest Orca mansion. And when you two arrived at the building, happened like the defense attorney said. I told Chopin some bullshit about smelling contraband on the second floor. He started poking around. And I went straight to the third floor because that's where the bosses would hang out when I was a kid. Or they'd give us spare change to buy their groceries and pick up their laundry. Never met this creek or this pod in my life until we stopped in Curtan. Different gens. I'd never seen anything like the bloodbath in that room. All four of the pod were dead when I got there. Believe me, don't believe me. I ain't no hound of Baccaria. I don't even think he could have done that either. Considering how he stumbled out of that water closet like a bloody water balloon. I did whack him on the back of the head, but my hand to God, I'm not convinced it did anything. Face down in the blood, out like that. Couldn't have woke him up with a nuke. When the hound dropped, I searched him, followed protocol. Found that knife in his hand. The call down said everyone was dead. That blue blood bolted. Tariq called after them. And yeah, I opened the window and tried to follow. I guess Tariq didn't know the ladder was out. Figured I would chase him down, because by the time I stepped back inside, he was upstairs. I walked up those steps expecting him to be puking, crying, shaking, I don't know. Instead, he starts yelling down. Happy. Ecstatic. He can't believe this. Scoop of the century. I realized I know what he's talking about.
Your Blue Blood superiors let you know about Prop 492?
Lots of people knew the deal with Prop 492, even non-blooded civvies. Nothing wrong with any of that, so long as it stayed a rumor. So long as the state didn't know we were where the pillars were going to be built. Knew where. It was a nice thing, believe it or not. People in the lower wards whispering about big money coming in. Little excitement to look forward to. Tariq was excited too.
Oh.
All he could see was forward. Barely reading the words in front of his eyes. Not giving a shit about anything behind him. Not caring about what he was trampling over. I didn't plan on doing anything, if that matters, if you care. I was moving slow, but I wasn't trying to hide. After taking it off the hound, I still had that knife. Goddamn knife in my hand. You all seem like educated people, so I take it none of you all believe in evil. We believe in evil down in the lower wards. It's like a fog. Hangs around certain people, places. And it poured off that knife like a water fountain. The devil made you do it? Haven't heard that one in a while. Wasn't for that dark card being there. You know, Tariq told me once. Said he wanted to become mayor. I just did this stupid fake laugh and told him he had my vote. I don't know why I did that. I shouldn't have done that.
Laughed at him?
Shouldn't have lied to him. And so, Your Honor, the people will be dismissing the charge of homicide in the first degree with prejudice. What does that mean?
They can't charge you with Officer Chopin's murder again at a later date just because they found more evidence. And the 4 other charges of second-degree homicide?
We'll be dismissing the 4 charges of second-degree homicide without prejudice. Though she's not quite convinced I couldn't have killed Creek's pod.
Miller's blood having already been on the knife you used to get free in the first place was pretty huge. Combined with Rogers admitting that you basically stumbled out a walking corpse.
But
the way the state sees it, their murders aren't any more solved than they were at the beginning of this trial. It's to be expected. And then the jury will be dismissed, this court will be adjourned, and you, Mr. Ikaria, are free to go. Everything that's happened to you the last few days, how is that leaving you so shocked?
not shocked, I'm just... I'm just grateful, Counselor. You have my... Your Honor, is there perhaps something else you wanted to say?
Well, if you insist. I guess for some reason, even though the jury's been dismissed and it's actually their job to do this part and the charges were dropped, I have this strong, overwhelming urge to say, not guilty. No, that needs to be much bigger. Maybe, I cast ye innocent? No, that sounds dumb.
In the name of God, ye not guilty.
Nearly 5 p.m. I don't remember if that's later that day. Probably, though, since we're still in the state building. On the same floor. I can also believe in-game trial lasted for like 6 hours.
I will also say it's 3:20, and I recall there being a little bit, and also like not like a ton, but also there's the stinger is definitely worth seeing in this one.
I see.
To where like I don't know that there's more than like 20 minutes max of main game left, but maybe the call might want to be made to like save it a week and then just fill out time with the rest of the interviews.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea just to be safe.
Yeah, your call, of course.
If we are already over time, I didn't completely expect just the trial portion to take up the full stream, but it rounded out. It did almost round out really nicely.
And that's how I engineered a situation where I could raise my voice and voice 2 crash outs in a row.
Oh, masterful. So yeah, I think that makes sense to wrap it there. I'll try to like clean up and get some more interviews unlocked at some point.
Yippee!
Let me go ahead and set up a raid. Or no. Let me get you a shout out first.
Oh, yippee! I still need to decide what game I'm moving on to tomorrow.
Ooh. But either way, folks can find you tomorrow.
Yeah, I still need to actually lock in a start time, but I don't know. I usually try to go sometime between 2 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
I just need to start getting consistent with it.
2 and 4 Pacific.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. And of course, as always, thank you very much for helping out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I definitely think you like this one had some like solid moments that let you like do some fun stuff with the voice work. I think you rocked it.
Oh, thank you. Frick, I'm gonna blush.
And now I will get a raid set up. Just double check that name. Island. Our usual Monday raid target, 4-Leaf Island, doing some artist? Some art? Doing some artist.
Whoa, live on stream?
Me every day of the week.
So let me get that set up. Let me think. Thank you so much for being here today, everybody. Friday we are doing Silent Hill F. I had a big scare and missed it this last week because I thought like the game wasn't working, and then when I uninstalled and rebooted it, I thought my save files had been wiped.
Oh god.
And then I double checked and they hadn't been. But
It's Silent Hill F, the real jump scare of the horror game.
they fucking got me. But we're gonna be doing that for real.
That with Ryukishi.
Maybe finishing it. Hopefully finishing it. There's probably not going to be a lot to carry over if I don't.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course, wrapping up of The Devil episode 2 and some of the interviews, the bonus content on Monday. And then we'll figure out what to do afterwards, but that's the important stuff. As usual, if you want to keep up with updates on the stream or on the channel, you can find us on Tumblr. If you want to catch VODs, we're on YouTube. If you want to send us some money, we're on Ko-Fi. All usernames JuniPops, same spelling as the Twitch channel. Thank you all again, and for now, I hope you all have a good rest of the day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Make sure that went through, and